one. No bigger than he is though. All right, gotta start somewhere. Got even an old face full of it. All right, here we go. First one of the morning. Not a terrible one, just another fun one. You can see it's super foggy this morning, got a great topwater morning. But what they've done is they spawned way back in the back of this creek and now they're heading for the main lake. And we're just kind of intersecting them. You can see here behind me, I've got a nice big channel swing right here back in this creek. And what that does is just gives them a place to stop and rest and come along. So this is a great way to utilize a topwater bite after the spawn and the fish haven't really got to their summer haunts yet. So right here you can see this channel swing. We're not that deep, we're only 15 foot of water. It looks like it's super deep, but this creek in the back, the deepest part back here is maybe 5 or 6, 7 foot where they really like to spawn. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, really deep or anything to do something when you think of a channel swing, but what'll happen is it'll give them a place to set up on that ledge. You can see when you look on the bank, there's just kind of a little crop outs and little flat places, and there's some giant rocks, and just gives them some different things. So these fish, the water, you got probably 3.5 foot of visibility. So the clearer the visibility, the further a fish will come, you know, but these fish will come up 4, 5, 6 foot easily and get this topwater bait. And we're just gonna kind of utilize that first halfway to the boat section. You know, we don't really think they're gonna be setting out here, but we're trying to utilize those little edges and whatnot. If we knew exactly where they were setting, we'd probably get up there in parallel, but I'm afraid what'll happen is there'll be some high spots out here a little bit further out, and then we'll miss those fish because we're too tight to the bank. You know, you can see here on my deck, I got a Spro Walking Hank down there as well, the 110 series. But I went with this E-Pop 80 for the fact that there's a lot of fish fry guarding right now still. You know, and a fry guarding bait to me is a popping style bait. And what that does is just kind of gets that fish's attention that's sitting down below that ball of fry, makes him think he's chasing them, stays in the strike zone longer. That walking bait has a tendency to kind of run over the top of him fry and just keep on trucking. And a lot of times a garden fish like that right there will let that bait go on as long as he's leaving that fry alone. So right after the spawn and before they really get off the fry, then I'm always gonna go with the popping style bait. Well, he's aggressive this morning. That one minute ago was a little bigger. A up and comer. Ooh, let's try that again. They're all fun though. And you know, a lot of times on a topwater bait, especially a popping style, you want to vary your cadence. But kind of popping that back and forth, you know, they used to always say sing a song and pop that thing to the rhythm, you know, to give it a little bit different beat. But when you throw it out there, you know, a lot of times just that single pop does it, but you can get this one like this here. We're gonna pop it one time, maybe give it a little run, then walk it in place. You know, that way you got a little bit of differences. And then after that, you know, we're gonna give it a little bit of run, maybe one big pop. You can change it up and go straight from like a popping style and then just put some slack in your line, and next thing you know, you got a nice walking bait right there popping in too. So just gives them a different look, especially if you've had one boil underneath it. If you can teach yourself to walk that bait in place, a lot of times he'll come back and get it. We'll mess around here and keep our nose down. And if you were in a tournament situation today, you'd give this a couple hours, see if you can get maybe a big bite or catch you some bonus fish, and then you'd go on about your day of whatever pattern you had coming. So really, it's not one that you're gonna live and die with all day on a day like today, but it's something you mix in the morning and then get your day started. You know, my setup today, this is probably on the little bit heavy side for a lot of guys with a topwater. This is a Denali 7.4 medium heavy, but I like to use a little bit heavier rod, and then I don't lay into them quite as hard in open water. I feel like I have a little more control over the fish, but I paired it up with an 8:3 gear ratio, Johnny Moore Signature Series. I like a little higher speed reel just because of the fact that sometimes they'll have a tendency to grab that topwater and run right at you. I want to take that slack up. You have a bow in your line. I just like a high speed reel. and then I turned around and put 50-pound Sunline AMZ on it. Sometimes I'll go down to 35. I don't think the 50-pound in the AMZ Sunline really affects it diameter-wise. It's super small and it's quiet either way. And so I very seldom go down any lower than 50. If you can get away with it and have heavier line, why not? You know, when I'm choosing a popper, I like to have one that's got some noise to it. We've got some clarity in the water today, but not a lot. So, you know, the EPOP 80 has a big rattle in it. It's a little bit longer bait. You can see there, it's got a nice profile, feather tail, you know, sharp gamakatsu hooks. And this is in a herring color. I'm not too picky on that, but I like to have one that you can throw a long ways. And so if I just spend some time with it, I know I'm gonna get the bites at the end of the day. There's a nice one. That's a little better fish there now, that's all right. But if you look right here, this is a perfect example. You can see that the sun is shining on that bank on that side, and we ran the shade line down this side. And you can see here we paid off, you know, even though it's getting a little later in the day, you can tell right there, I mean, that's a really nice fish for here. So don't feel like you're under the pressure and you gotta go faster to get to a fish like that whenever the sun's starting to come up, and we'll use them shade lines to our advantage for some of those.